All right. Welcome, everyone. Let's talk about the new BART schedule that is coming soon. We are going to be discussing quite a lot of things today. We have to talk about what it means for possible transfers, what it means for, the thing that's going on at Millbrae with the evening schedule. We're going to talk about that and what it means. And we're also going to talk a little bit about speedrunning later in the show. But for now, we do want to sort of explain what exactly is going on here just to get things started. We are in the beautiful, lovely world of the snipping tool as we will go through the BART map, and also I'll be pulling up the trip planner as we go to take a look at some scheduling options. But yeah, hello. We are ready to go with this. So yeah, I guess the first place to start is why exactly are we changing schedules? Well, BART and what we started to see a lot more is the agencies getting on sync with each other with changing their schedules to make sure that they sort of keep things steady, um, ensure that all the schedule changes are happening at the exact same time. We see things happening twice a year now. They've decided is going to be the standard for schedule changes. It's going to be one in January and one in April, or August, sorry, one in January, one in August. This is pretty much following on from September 2023. And the changes for BART are pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. What's going to be happening mainly just a couple departure times shifting, but unfortunately, some of those shifts, despite appearing small, have massive ramifications for certain things, which we will be discussing in all of its glory here today. So yeah, I guess the first thing to do is to pull up the trip planner, everybody's favorite thing to do, the thing that I've spent hours saying. That's absolutely gorgeous. Um, yeah, so where do we start? So yeah, the big thing that's happening is the evening. We'll start there first of all. I think that's a good thing to look at. No, I do not want BART to access my location. Thank you very much. So let's look at trips between Daly City and Millbrae. Departing, we will go all the way out to January. January 2020, or actually, no, that's March. What am I doing? Okay, here's January 10, the last weekday before the changes happen. And let's go to the evening, 7 p.m. Okay, so Daly City and Millbrae. As you can see, pretty normal so far. Red line, 20 minutes to get to Millbrae, all very good stuff. And then we all know what happens at around 9 p.m. Red line stops, yellow line takes over the Millbrae service, all pretty normal stuff. And the trip time is 21 minutes all the way through. Lovely stuff. I think these ones are a little bit faster because they don't go to the airport. Yeah, actually no, I think these ones do go to the airport. Yeah, it's the later ones later in the night that don't go to the airport. But yeah, if we change it over to Monday the 13th, let's see what's going on here. This is where it starts to get ugly. Okay, this is all the same. If we go later, what's going on here? Why is this one 19 minutes and this one's 26 minutes? What's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. BART are working on this section of track between Colma, and Millbrae. They're working on this section of track to start testing out communications-based train control, or CBTC. Now, what that is it is pretty much the gold standard for modern train signaling everywhere you go in the world. It's going to allow trains to be running the Transbay Tube up to 30 per hour, which is one every 2 minutes, which could mean one every 8 minutes across 4 lines, or one every 10 minutes plus the yellow line 5 minutes. Because currently the maximum that you can do in the Transbay Tube is 24 per hour. So that's one every 2.5 minutes, I believe. Yeah, 24 trains per hour is one every 2.5 minutes, which means you can do one every 10 minutes across both lines, across all 4 lines, sorry. But yeah, unfortunately, that's probably not enough. And I know people are going to say, oh, but BART doesn't run that, or BART doesn't have that much ridership anymore. I know, but you got to keep your system resilient and prepared for the future and modernized and everything. So this new signaling is going to allow things to hopefully improve in the long term, because this is especially important if BART doesn't get their way with the second Transbay tube, if it ends up being a standard gauge tube, which is seeming likely from what we're seeing from Link 21 publications, that the second Transbay tube will be standard gauge, which means BART is going to have to be even more resilient and stronger. So that kind of puts the pressure on CBTC to get going even faster. So yeah, between Colma and Millbrae is sort of the test track for where they're going to be doing it. So they want to make sure that trains are running as smoothly as possible at night when they're working on things. So that means, unfortunately, for some reason, that means that we have to mess with the service pattern a bit. So the weird thing that's happening here, is BART runs every 20 minutes at night. This yellow line from Daly City all the way through the airport will be every 20 minutes. Then the train will terminate at San Francisco Airport and then turn back towards Antioch. And there's going to be a shuttle. Chat, you might want to help me out. What color is this line between SFO and Millbrae? What color should this line be? Please help me out here. It's not yellow, which is unfortunate because I think Alstom have broken the software. We can't display this color's light on the trains anymore. But yeah, there's going to be a train running back and forth from SFO to Millbrae every 15 minutes, not every 20 minutes, every 15 minutes, which is disappointing, for sure, very disappointing. And it's weird because it means that not every transfer will be consistent. Like you can see if we go through some of these, you can see this one is 19 minutes, this one's 26, this one's 21, this one's 31. Somehow I doubt that's actually correct. I think it would be less. Do we have any public evidence that they weren't able to display the color a few weeks after the earthquakes? I haven't seen a purple line signed ever in person. Like I started to get into BART, like in terms of like advocacy and actually digging into things and engaging with the community. I started to do that in 2022, and by then the purple line had officially died. I have seen a video on YouTube of a purple line train, Fleet of the Future, with the actual purple text. And yes, it has been produced before. There has been a purple line signed on the trains before. You can look it up on YouTube. It does exist. And the BART voice, quote unquote, leaks do have this audio file. Let me see if I can play it.
This is a purple line train to. This is a purple line train to. This is a purple line train
Wait, it's
to.
looping. It's loop. Oh no,
This
it's
is a
looping.
purple line
Stop,
train
stop,
to.
Sharon, stop.
This is.
Oh, so yeah, purple line audio does exist in the sort of. I don't know if those voice files are leaks or official leaks or anything. It doesn't matter, but yeah, purple LEDs have been produced on the trains before. So yeah, it is possible, but I think we have to blame Austin for this. Um, yeah, I got a clip me saying that. I don't know how loud it actually came because I'm currently in OBS. There's two audio sliders in OBS. One is called desktop audio and one is called mic forward slash aux. I am not going to remove the forward slash if I say mic and aux. I'm not going to remove the forward slash there. We have to keep those two words separate. But anyway. So the bottom line is these trains are running every 15 minutes, not every 20. And the reason for that is they want to sync them up with Caltrain, which I can respect. Because Caltrain is going to be every 30 at night, and BART is every 20. So they want to guarantee that there are still going to be BART and Caltrain catches. So they have to run it every 15. But that's going to be weird for transfers because you can see the inconsistency here. But when all of that comes through, we will hopefully start to make sense of it. It's going to be weird. It's definitely going to be weird. And I skeeted about this the other day. If you want to go from Millbrae to Antioch Let's actually put it in the transfer planner right now. Let's do Antioch to Millbrae. Um, Antioch to Millbrae, going south. Um, where are we? Where are we? Okay, now it doesn't even show. It shows eBART as one continuous trip, which is not true. But anyway, the broader point is if you want to go from Antioch to Millbrae, you'll have to take the yellow line, then transfer at Pittsburgh from the yellow line to the yellow line, and then when you get to San Francisco Airport, you got to transfer from the yellow line to the yellow line again. So all in all, you'll ride three yellow line trains on one trip. So yeah, so that is what's happening at night. It's weird. I don't entirely like it, but I think I can somewhat live with it. Let's talk. Let's talk about the other thing. So I'm gonna pull the BART map back up for this one. We'll go away from the trip planner and just look at the map. So this is the BART map. Um, there are three effective points where transfers can be made on BART. Um, Not including Oakland Airport to Coliseum because it's kind of obvious, and not including SFO to Millbrae because whatever. There are effectively 3 points on BART where transfers regularly happen. MacArthur, 19th Street, Bayfair, and Balboa Park slash Daly City. And this last one isn't really that important because it's just sort of continuing the same direction. Like you won't be transferring backwards here. It's effectively just trains short turning. But on these two other transfers, on MacArthur and Bayfair, there is the potential to go backwards. Um, so if you're coming in, let's say you're a Berkeley student that doesn't want to pay for Berkeley housing because it's so expensive, and instead you stay with your family or whatever in Concord, and you're going to be commuting to Berkeley every day for classes, you will do what I call a reverse bump at MacArthur. You will go from Concord to MacArthur, and you won't stay on the same side of the station. You'll go to the opposite side and go in the opposite direction. The same thing happens down here, from the Dublin branch to the Berryessa branch, or the other way around. And these are the two places of what I call reverse bumps. And for a long time, I don't want to say BART didn't care about them, but they didn't really treat them as essential parts of the network, these two transfers. But because when you think about it, fundamentally, when you think of what has changed on BART between the pandemic and now, back then the majority of riders were people commuting into work, into San Francisco. So sort of going from suburb to suburb, effectively, in the context of BART, like Berkeley is not a suburb at all. You could argue Hayward and Fremont. I mean, they kind of are, but like they have their own downtowns and stuff. They're nice places in parts. But this is a thing that a lot of transit agencies have faced, that suburb to suburb trips are now more of a thing. A greater percentage of their riders are making these sort of trips. It's why you're seeing things like the MTA Purple Line in the DC Metro being heavily pushed. It's why you're seeing things like the IBX in New York to connect you from, I believe, Brooklyn to Queens without going into Manhattan. It's why a lot of people are not happy with the Chicago rail system because they don't have any radial lines, and like they're always important things to loop lines. Sorry. So, and while BART doesn't have a loop line, it would probably like the thing you have to remember is these branches are super far away, so a loop line would probably not be very useful. But these sort of reverse bumps, as I'm calling them, are now more important. So BART have actually started to pay attention to them when they're designing their schedules. And the broader point that I want to make here is that these things do matter. And okay, wait, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so these things are actually more important in the context of, how to optimize BART scheduling. Because if we treat it from the perspective of like a schedule design algorithm, you know, there's a lot of things to optimize on BART right now. You have these guys that are like essential. You have Bayfair, sort of the forward transfer, like if you're on orange and you want to go to blue. or the other way around, that one's very important to optimize. Um, Loop line via Sun Ramon would be epic. Iron Horse Trail, bring back the Iron Horse Trail. Um, yes, yes, that would be very cool, but sadly not the most practical. All day 70x, all day 70x. That's what we need. Anyway, so yeah. But when you also have to ask an algorithm to optimize the reverse transfers, the reverse bumps, it starts to become a lot harder to make everything come into play together. And like MacArthur was never a problem because the Richmond branch is every 10 minutes because you have two lines, and the Antioch branch is every 10 minutes, at least as far as Bay Point. So you would never really have a long wait if you are transferring in this reverse bump at MacArthur. It would always be around 5 minutes at max, maybe a bit more, usually sometimes even less. So that would never be a problem. And you wouldn't want it to be too low anyway, because you have to sort of go down and up. That might take time, especially if you need the elevators. It might take time to go down and up at MacArthur's 4 platforms. But at Bayfair, it's a different story. And this is why Bayfair is suddenly becoming arguably the most important BART station in terms of stuff. Um, anyway, so the problem with Bayfair is this branches every 10 minutes because you have two lines, but this branch, the Dublin branch, is every 20. So that means that getting these right is super important. Bay unfair, yeah, Bay unfair. Bay unfair, totally. Or as we call it in speedrunning terms, Bay fail if you get it wrong. So yeah, suddenly you have to do a lot of things right at Bayfair. You have to do the forward transfers if you're going south and you want to continue south or east, I guess, or if you're coming here and you want to go here. And I'm using a purple cursor intentionally because if you ask me to draw a sixth BART line now, it would be Richmond to Dublin. Um, so yeah, you have to do a lot of things right. You have to optimize a lot of things. And that's why for the longest time, BART was never really good at that. Like, I'm gonna pull up a screenshot from a really long time ago. Give me a second to find it. This is like pre-September 2023. This is when BART was running every 30 minutes on weekends. Let me pull up that little screenshot here. Hold on. The screen might go black. Oh no, it's my first monitor. Okay, if I click this, will it pop up? Yes, it will. Look at this. This was pre-September 2023 on a weekend if you wanted to go from Berkeley, Richmond to Dublin. Look at that. 27-minute wait. This was, I believe, in late 2022. This happened. This was the thing, or I don't. It was before. It was before September 2023. That's the point. 27 minutes you had to wait just to go in the same direction. And actually, this is when I started my channel. One of the first videos I wanted to make was sort of testing this. Because what you could do, as I'm sure some of you know, where I actually lost the BART map when I took that screenshot. I lost the BART map. Snipping tool only allows you to have one window open. If you go to, where are we? System map. Let's grab this again. So I'm sure, as you know, what you could do instead of going orange to blue, if red was showing up faster, you could go red to blue and then bump at West Oakland. Um, let's take a screenshot. Let's put it in the snipping tool. Be back. No snipping tool. It'll pop up on my my second monitor. Okay. So yeah, you could go red and then bump at West Oakland, but that wasn't canon. That wasn't what BART told you. You kind of had to know it. and it would save you 30 minutes. And like that was a big deal um, in the weekend era, in the 30-minute weekend era, that 30 minutes would actually be a huge time save. But BART didn't care about that. And then September 2023 came, the weekend became the same as the weekday, 20 minutes all the way through every day. But now it was this one that was bad. It was Dublin to Richmond that was bad. But BART actually told you, BART actually told you that you can transfer at West Oakland. And they actually did it on purpose. Like they had a whole piece in their media about how they sort of called it like this hack or creative solution that you could go from Dublin and not change at Bayfair, but change at West Oakland to the red line, and you'd get to Richmond in 10 minutes faster. 10 minutes is a time save there. That's not a lot compared to 30 minutes, but it's still a time save. And BART actually wanted you to do it. It was in the trip planner. If you typed in Dublin to Berkeley on the trip planner, they would tell you to change at West Oakland, which sucked, which sucked for a lot of reasons. One, there's no guarantee the trains would wait. And two, if you need to use the elevators, the wait was like 2 minutes. You have to call the elevator, watch it go down, go across the station, call the other elevator, go up again. And as we know, BART elevators, they tend to be pretty slow. And this is why I will always say the biggest missed opportunity on the entire BART network is that West Oakland was not made into an island platform. It was made as two side platforms. That's the biggest mistake that BART has ever made, in my humble opinion. Miguel says, do they adequately update their GTFS feeds when they do update these changes in the trip planner? This is actually straight from GTFS. I believe the trip planner data is literally pulled from GTFS. Um, like I think if you go into Google Maps um, and type in a BART trip after January 13th, it will show you the new timings on Google Maps. But we're doing on the trip planner just for the sake of it. Anyway, I did actually make a video doing the transfer from Castro Valley to 12th Street, Oakland. I did actually make a video doing that, and it was fun. It got a lot of views. It was interesting. I talked a little bit about this, but people told me in the comments, and I will hold my hand up and say I got this wrong. People kept going at me in the comments, and deservedly so. I should have mentioned it, that this transfer sucks for people in a wheelchair that need the elevator. And yeah, it does. Um, I was completely negligent of me to not mention it in the video, and for that I apologize. But to BART's credit, in August 2024, when they changed the schedules there, suddenly everything was synced. All four possible transfers from Bayfair were magically synced. If you were going from Orange South to Blue East, if you were going from um, shoot, if you're going from Blue West to Orange North, if you were going from Blue West to Orange South, and Orange North to Blue East. All four of those transfers were just a couple minutes. That was beautiful. That was lovely. That was the peak of schedule design. Then they ruined it. At least it appears that they ruined it. Because let's go back to BART's website. Let's go to schedules. Let's go to schedules. How do I best do this? Let's go Bayfair and let's say let's go January 2025. Let's just that's too early. It's too early in the day. Let's just go like midday, 12 p.m. January 21, 2025. Okay, now let's start with the current. Let's start with the current. Let's start with the current. Okay. Okay, this is good. So here we have 09, 12, 09, 13. You can see here these four arrivals. They're all within minutes of each other. And that means everything is synced. Every possible transfer you can make is synced. Well, with one minor exception, if you were coming in from the south and wanted to go to San Francisco, you pretty much had to take the green. Or if you took the orange, you'd have to wait. Well, no, if you took the orange, the green would come first. So you'd effectively have to take the green, so your frequency effectively became 20 minutes from the south. But you could remedy that by doing a reverse bump at 12th Street, Oakland. Like you could do this and get into SF faster, but whatever. The suburban transfers were deemed to be more important. Um, but yeah, it was perfect. Everything was in minutes of each other. And then if we change the date to January 13th and keep it at 12 p.m., 12:11. Oh no. Oops. Something's not right here. It seems that they didn't account for this fact and they messed up. But I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe it's just a typo. Maybe they typed it in wrong. I'm hoping at least. And they haven't put up the PDFs. And again, it is not my business to speculate about why things are the way they are, or maybe, again, I do think it is just a mistake. But if it's not a mistake, if this is actually what the schedule is going to be, then this is insanely bad. This is insanely bad. And this is where the speedrunning lord has kind of come into it, because the optimal runs that we have seen recently, they all start at Berryessa and then they go to Dublin from Bayfair. That's as like a 1 minute transfer. And it was perfect. It was really good. But if that gets broken, then suddenly a lot of trips are ruined. A lot of trips are ruined. I'm willing to bet that it's a mistake, and I'm hoping that it is, um, because this is pretty badly affected for a lot of people that rely on these sort of trips. And I actually started to think about it a little bit more. Why exactly is this transfer so important? And a number of other reasons pop up as well. Like, okay, here's a question, and think about this, all of you. What is the fastest way to get to San Jose from a specific part of the BART network? Like, think about any part of BART, and if you're starting a trip there, what is the fastest way to San Jose? If you're in San Francisco, you probably take Muni to the Caltrain station and then get on Caltrain there. I mean, at least if you're within like maybe up to Balboa Park, then you'd be closer. Daly City onwards, you probably just get on BART to Millbrae. If you're in sort of this area, then you just take Muni to the Caltrain 4th and King station and then get onto Caltrain there. If you're in this little section of BART, then it's kind of debatable which way is faster. Either you get the BART Orange line, go to Berryessa, then get on a VTA service, or you get the BART Red line effectively. You'd go yellow, transfer at red, or you just get on red from here. And then you go all the way down to Millbrae and get on the Caltrain there. But here it's debatable. The interesting thing that happens is, what if you're here? What if you're on this bit of BART? What's the fastest way to get to San Jose from this section? And by this I mean like downtown San Jose, like the center of the city. Um, yes, downtown San Jose. And this is where things get really interesting, because it all comes down to this: these two stations. You might not think much of these two stations because they aren't really the Silicon Valley extension. Like, they technically are, but you don't associate them as a Silicon Valley extension because, they're not into San Jose. But these two stations, remember, they opened after COVID. They opened in June 2020. They opened after COVID. So they're not really reflected into BART's data from pre-pandemic. But the fact that these two stations opened, they were the first time that BART interfaced with the VTA network. They were the first time that BART got into Santa Clara County. And suddenly that unlocks a lot of trips to San Jose and the surrounding area for people that sort of live on this part of BART, where going around the bay and getting on Caltrain is much slower than going on BART and getting onto the VTA network from these two stations. So that's why I think also these sort of transfers have become a lot more popular in the BART sphere from regular BART riders that, you know, now going to and from San Jose within this section is now a lot faster. So that's also why I think getting this right at Bayfair is super, super important. Yeah, Penguin out, you're right. Yeah, Milpitas has a lot of buses. It has the light rail. It also has the bus to Santa Clara Airport, San Jose Airport. I don't know why I keep calling it Santa Clara Airport. Is it because of the bus? Is it because it has a C in it, SJC? Is it because Santa Clara Caltrain is closest to the airport? I don't know. I keep calling it Santa Clara Airport, even though it's San Jose Airport. Yeah, that's when Milpitas and Iberias has the 500, which get you there done. So these two stops are actually super important for getting you into the San Jose area. So, and that's why I think a lot of people now, if you live in Dublin or Pleasanton or Livermore, even heaven forbid, or San Ramon or whatever, you now have a much quicker way into San Jose. So yeah, the broader point I make with this is that the Bayfare transfer is now really, really important. Don't believe me? I've got some data. I've got some data. Let's show you what we're dealing with here. We've got data. We've got data. So let's actually go through all of this. So this is the ridership report from BART in November 2024, with some cells missing, but this is the ridership data report from BART in November 2024. And you can see a lot of things going on. So to read this table, it's pretty much, this is the starting point, this is the ending point, and every cell tells you how many people made a trip from here to here. It could be the other way around. I think this is start and this is end. But the point is this is the ridership report. This is November 2024, the most recent data that BART had available. And then this is exactly 5 years before that. It is November 2019. The table is exactly the same, but this is the data from November 2019. And already you can see the numbers are a lot bigger here. This number is so big it doesn't fit. 9.12 million people rode BART in November 2019. In 2024, it was only 3.95 million, which I believe means that we are currently at 40% recovery over a 5-year period, which is not great. So this sheet, this is what's important. This right here, what you're looking at, is the ratio between 2019 and 2024 ridership. So what you get here is it tells you which trips were much more frequently done in 2019. Effectively, the bigger the number on this sheet, the more frequently the trip was done in 2019 relative to today. If the number is less than 1, that means it was actually more common in 2024 versus 2019. And I've done some conditional formatting to show which numbers, the smaller numbers are greener, the bigger numbers are redder. This is effectively saying, so the ones that are green are the trips that are more common now relative to before. And you already see some interesting patterns. For example, look at Montgomery. Look at all the red in the Montgomery column. The others are also pretty red, but Montgomery especially, look at how red it is. Because remember, this station is like Financial District Central. Like Embarcadero has the ferry building. It has sort of piers and stuff. Powell has Union Square. Civic Center has Civic Center. Montgomery has been the hardest hit BART station by COVID. Um, so you can see all the red in this column it pretty much proves that fact that Montgomery has been hit the hardest. The other four, the other three stations on Market Street are also fairly red, but not as much as Montgomery. Um, 16th and 24th Street actually have quite a bit of green, and I think that speaks volumes for how fun the Mission District is. It's actually a genuinely cool place to go. Um, you see a similar effect, although not as severe, in 19th and 12th Street, Oakland. Um, there's a lot more red in those columns because these are the sort of downtown Oakland stations that people commute to. But yeah, the point is, you can see where the green is. You can see that there's a lot more suburb to suburb trips and a lot less um, commuting to a downtown SF or Oakland. Like if we just pick one example, let's do a trip. Let's say Walnut Creek to I don't know, Walnut Creek to Fremont. So Walnut Creek is here, Fremont is here. Okay, not the best example. It's not that green, but yeah, it is fairly green. Walnut Creek to Union City is closer. Walnut Creek to South Hayward is even bigger. But yeah, I think you get the idea from this spreadsheet here. I think you get the idea here. The suburb trips are a lot more common as a percentage of the overall ridership makeup versus commuting to a downtown, in this case, downtown SF or downtown Oakland. I'm sorry, Hayward. I'm sorry, Berkeley. I know you have downtowns on BART, really good ones. Downtown Hayward is really underrated. But yeah, this is the data. Um, this is just very basic analysis. I can and probably will later do something a lot more formal. This is just a very basic overview into what what the patterns are like, and it does prove that point that these reverse bumps, as I'm calling them, the suburb trips, BART needs to care about them when they're making their schedules. They need to focus on the fact that people are making these sort of trips from suburb to suburb a lot more compared to before. Not in absolute numbers, of course, just in relative numbers. Like in terms of the percentage of people that ride BART, a lot more of them now are making those trips. The focus on commuters into the downtowns is not as high. And you'll see that across the board with a lot of transit agencies everywhere you go. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for sort of macro level analysis of what's going on here with ridership and why the schedules matter so much. Let's talk speed running just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not gonna go on for too long. I'll probably stop the stream at 11. Um, yeah, let's talk speed running just a little bit because if the Bayfare transfer is broken, then that's going to ruin a lot of runs and mean that perhaps you might want to consider ending your run at Barrios instead of starting it there. So what that's going to mean is, well, it means two things. First of all, it means that going around the bay is now a more appealing strategy. So this was sort of the next evolution of what we're calling the KISS run, which is using the new Stadler electric KISS trains to sort of hack your way into getting a faster BART time. So let's sort of recap what that effectively means. So when Adam improved the record from 5:30 to 5:10, what he did, and also Enzo, aka Katz, did most of the research for this. But when they ran, and like we all knew this isn't entirely like it wasn't something like completely out of the blue. Like we did sort of expect that it might be a possibility that when Caltrain Electric rolls around, this might save enough time. Because when you're running BART, like the optimal routes of the modern era running BART would start at Antioch, go to Richmond, go through SF and out again, do Oakland Airport, do Dublin, and end at Berryessa. Either that or the other way around. But this was the general shape of the route. And you can see that the most double counting of stations happens in San Francisco. You pretty much ride in the entire city and out again on the speed run. So, and the reason why this is so bad is the red line only goes to Millbrae every 20 minutes. The yellow line doesn't go to Millbrae during the day. So you have to be on the red line to complete the entire section of San Francisco. So if you can find a way to save 20 minutes in SF and get on the earlier red train out, you've done it. You have saved time. You have to save 20 minutes, and that's hard. When Caltrain was running diesel trains, that was very hard. But now with the faster electric trains and a more BART connected schedule, it's now more doable. So the strat is you're coming in, actually you'd be coming in on the blue line. And then you would go out of Powell, you'd run over to 4th and King, get on Caltrain to Millbrae, and then come back. So that was the first evolution of the Caltrain strat. And that was the most practical. But there's also the second evolution of the Caltrain strat that is even more chaotic, but I think now might start to be considered. So you would start this time at Antioch, you do the time transfer at MacArthur, go to Coliseum, do Oakland Airport, come out, do the blue line, go to Bayfair, go to Berryessa, and then from here, you would take the 500 bus to Diridon, and then shoot up the peninsula on Caltrain, get onto BART and Millbrae, and then end the run at Richmond. This is the second evolution of Caltrain on the BART speedrun. And you might think it's not competitive. It actually is competitive with the current record times. It is actually fairly competitive. I think what would make this interesting, I think what would really cement this as a record-breaking strategy is if somehow express trains ran on Caltrain late enough that yellow line service from Millbrae to Antioch is running. So that way you could end at Antioch. You wouldn't have to go. You could just do Richmond, Oakland Airport, Dublin, Berryessa, and then go Millbrae to Antioch and save having to bump back at MacArthur. If express Caltrain trains ran late into the night and caught the yellow line trains at Millbrae and not the red line trains, I think you'd have a winning formula. I think you'd have a winning formula. I think that is what it would take. And sadly, I don't know when that's going to happen. I can't tell you when that's going to happen. The other interesting thing that might sort of, affect things, and again, I haven't thought about this one too much, but it all comes down to the blue and green lines. Because another funny thing that you could do, and I don't think this would be record breaking. I don't think it would be record breaking, but you could potentially sort of do something like this, but you'd be sort of repeating yourself a lot. That's the problem. So I don't know. But the point is, if the Bayfair reverse bump here is well and truly broken, then I think the Caltrain all the way around the peninsula might end up having to be the new strat, which absolutely sucks because you'd have to start your runs at Antioch. You'd have to go to Antioch and you wouldn't even be sure if the run would be successful because you wouldn't know about the 500's reliability. So yeah, I do think it's going to be very difficult for a 510 to be shattered. I think it's possible. I don't think it's possible in this current schedule iteration. That's sort of the bottom line. I think the 509.35 record will stand for quite a bit, but I'm not ruling out the possibility that something pops up using the long Caltrain strat. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens. So I'm not entirely ruling out the fact that we might save a couple minutes. It won't be more than a couple minutes. Like it will be something really, really minor that changes the game. It would probably have to come on the part of Caltrain adjusting their schedules, which I don't think they'll do because BART hasn't changed things drastically enough for Caltrain to respond. So I don't think Caltrain will change their schedules in January. And if they did, they probably wouldn't move by more than a couple of minutes either. So I wouldn't bet on something drastic happening soon, but again, I wouldn't rule it out. Is the thing. Like we are close. It somehow feel like this 510 is this sort of uncanny valley that if one sort of small thing can be found, everything changes and you might be onto something. But this is where I encourage other runs to start happening. I want to see more transit systems being ran. Like I'm not trying to pretend that I'm like some god overlord of transit speed running in the Bay Area. But I want to see some more runs. I want to see Muni Metro runs. I think those will be interesting because there's actually some jeopardy there. There's actually some jeopardy in the sense that the schedules aren't adhered to all the time. You have to plan things on the fly. That's what a speed run should sort of, that's, I don't want to say how it should be, but a lot of games, speedruns, do rely on RNG a little bit. And like if we're being honest, BART is pretty predictable. At least mainline BART is predictable. So yeah, I want to see Muni Metro runs. I want to see looping the Bay runs. You could do like only the sections spanned by the five bridges. You could do all the way out to the Corkina Strait. Because I don't think Adam went all the way around. I think he went like 95% of the way. I think he was missing, like he could have gone a tiny bit deeper east. I forgot exactly what he did, but it wasn't entirely all the way around, but that could be a new thing that pops up. Um, so yeah, maybe BART running might be sunsetted a little bit, which does make me a bit it does make me a bit sad that the record progression happened so fast. Like in less than 12 months, we went from 604 to 509 in less than 12 months. I mean, I'm proud of us as a community. I'm proud of Horace. I'm proud of Enzo. I'm proud of Adam. Proud of all the work that's been going on. But it just happened so fast, which does kind of make me a bit sad that we are at a point where the run might not be beaten for a very long time. But don't give up. But I want to see a Muni Metro run. I think that would be really fun. I think a Muni Metro run would be really fun. But yeah, I think we're gonna end it here. I did say I would only go for an hour. It is currently 11. I think I will wrap it up here. So yeah, this has been BART schedules. I might do more digging into the reverse bump data, see if there's any interesting patterns instead of just that simple Excel sheet that we saw now. Um, so yeah, I think we are gonna wrap it up here. Just a little fun thing. I don't think I'll do this every time the BART schedules change, but I did have some things I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I guess August is when we will reconvene for Yet another BART. Okay, I'll take a couple more questions before we end the stream for good. If anyone wants to ask something, I can discuss it. Because someone had Particle Beam Leonard asked, has anyone ever ran uni? Not to my knowledge. I did attempt to run in July, um, before the L reopened, so I wasn't like hoping that it would be accepted as a record for too long because I would have lost it in September when the L opened. But the run did fail after a 20-minute bus just didn't accept me on. So it was really funny what happened. Like, let me actually pull up the Muni map. I'll show you what I did for that run. Where is the Muni map? Let me see. So we'll just go system map, and I'll pull up the map. I'll pull up the detailed map with more rail. Um, oh, fancy. Okay, so yeah, I started at Bayshore on the T. Can I annotate this? I can annotate this on Firefox. So I started, oh God, oh God, what did I do? So I started on the T. Um, I went to Chinatown. I, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm highlighting text. So yeah, I started on the T. Um, and then I went to Balboa Park. I forgot if it was the J or the K. I know, I think it was the J. I went to Balboa Park on the J, and I turned back on the K, and then I got out at, I think it was Junipero Serra and Ocean. I got out there because I think there was bus 18 from Stonestown. Then I would have taken it to Ocean Beach, gotten the N, and then somehow, and then yeah, I would have gotten the N to Van Ness, and I would have turned back. Okay, I forgot exactly what my route was, but the point is, I got to Ocean, Stonestown. I got to the bus station there. It's just outside of the mall. The 18 came. I was clearly gesturing to get onto the bus, but the operator just ghosted me and went on with their life. Didn't even let me on. And I stopped the run there because the next one was not for 20 minutes. Um, yeah, I forgot exactly what I did. It wasn't optimal. It was just for fun, but yeah, I got screwed by buses. Whenever I think of the word Van Ness, I think of Ness's head on the front of an unmarked white van. Yes. I believe there's also a Van Ness station in the LA Metro. Actually, it might be on the Metro bus, not Metro Rail, but you get it. So yeah, I think we'll end it here. Any more thoughts, questions, things to discuss? I will do a sort of year review with Q&A stuff. If you wanna be featured on the year-end Q&A, join our Discord. Link is in the description of the video. Drop your questions in there, and I will do my best to address them in the year-end Q&A video. But yeah, I think we are gonna end it here then. Um, yeah, this has been a schedule rant, as is becoming tradition for me. Take care.